Master, merciful. The fame is spread all over the free world. We take shelter of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bandamui Savadana Mati Bandamui Savadana Mati Jahara Prasari Vai E Bhavatori Ajay Jahara Prasari Vai E Bhavatori Ajay Krishna Prapti Hoi Jati Krishna Prapti Hoi Jati Jahara Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Sitete Koriya Aikya
On it or you are on fast?
Or you tell me. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Sitete Koriya Aikya Arana Kori Ho Mani Asha Arana Kori Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Charane Rati Jai Prasare Pure Sarva Asha Jai prasare pure sarva asha Chakurana dilo jai janme janme prabhu se Chakurana dilo jai janme janme prabhu se Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jati Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jate Avidya Virigai Jahara Charita Virigai Jahara Charita Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajanara Bandhu Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajanara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Prabhu Kara Daya Deha More Para Chaya Prabhu Kara Daya Deha More Para Chaya Ebe Jasha Guchukri Bhuvana Ebe Jasha Guchukri Bhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Tua Pada Loila Sharana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitya Namine Namah Hare Bhutale Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Rishatarine Namaste Devam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga Gaurahari. Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga Gaurahari. Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga Gaurahari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gaurahari. Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gaurahari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gaurahari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Gaura. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gorga Dadhar, Hero.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gaurgarada, Jaya Gaurgarada, Gaurgarada, Jaya Gaurgarada. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo.
ISKCON founder Acharya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Leela Vaishnav Krishna Bhat Paramahansa Varivraj Acharya Ashtottara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Parampara ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna Balaram Gaurnidai Shubha Darshanarti ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Samavata Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Harikatha ki jai. Hidai Gaura Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Gadadhar Pandit ki jai. So I'll read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 10. And this is beginning at text number 15. Gadadhar Pandit, today is the appearance day of Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit, the fourth branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. And who is that? Srimati Radharani. That's right. No one, therefore, can equal him. Purport. In the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, verses 147 through 153, it is stated, the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna, formerly known as Vrindavaneshwari, is now personified in the form of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has pointed out that in the shape of Lakshmi, the pleasure potency of Krishna, she was formerly very dear to the Lord as Shama Sundara Vallabha. Sham Sundar Vallabha. The same Sham Sundar Vallabha is now present as Gadadhar Pandit. Formerly as Lalita Saki, she was always devoted to Srimati Radharani. In the 12th chapter of this part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description of the descendants of the disciplic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Vrakeshwar Pandit, the fifth branch of the tree, was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. In the Gaur Ganadesh Dipika, verse 71, it is stated that Vrakeshwar Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudev, Shankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vrakeshwar Pandit was one of the chief dancers, and he danced continually for that length of time. Sri Govinda Das, an Oriya devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vrakeshwar Pandit in his book, Gaura Krishnodaya. Sri Gadadhar Pandit ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So there are a few things happening today. First is the beekeeping, basic beekeeping. If you like to learn about keeping bees, you can come to the pavilion here at 10:30 this morning, 10:30 to 12:30. And then there is also an open hive demonstration. So you can also see that. That is with Mother Tapaswini. And then at 11 o'clock, there is professional advanced directive assistance from 11 to 2. This will be over at the charter school, Alachua Learning Center. And there's Anne Mehring of Shands Hospital and also Jackie Hart of Haven Hospice. These are professionals in the field. And it is mentioned also that if you want to control what happens to your body or your DTs or anything like that if you get very sick, that you can actually control it. Even when you're sick or even when you're gone, by making a simple will. In other words, you state everything ahead of time, what you would like to do with everything that you have and you own. And even if you want to stay on the machine or not stay on the machine, things like that, you can put it all down in a will, simple will. And then you can control things like that, who you want to give the money to and all those types of things. So you will hear a lot about that at this seminar. And then Urmila Devi Dasi would be speaking tonight again at 7 p.m. in the temple room. Tonight's seminar would be on chanting with attention. And then tomorrow is our Alachua Spring Festival. We really would like to have devotees make cookies for that festival so we can distribute a lot of prasadam. So all those who are listening, if you can make cookies, please do, because Sri Vrindavan would like to get as many as possible. Clearwater Ratha Yatra coming up on Sunday, May 10th. Please sign up on the bulletin board. Shesha Prabhu is giving class today, and I'll tell you who addressed the deities. Shri Shri Radhesham were addressed by Raghunath Das, Chuta Radhesham by Leela Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram by Panchali Devi Dasi, Chuta Krishna Balaram by Madhuri Gopi Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Gaurnitai by Vijay Radha Devi Dasi, Chuta Gaurnitai by Shri Vrindavan Devi Dasi, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev by Avadhuta Nitai Das. Shesha Prabhu giving class. turn it down a bit like this. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichanda Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichanda Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Satya Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Chai His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nite Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sundivari Paschati Desate. Hare Krishna. So this morning we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 9. wrong book. Chapter 9, text 65 and 66. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So the word meanings for text number 65, Tripati Aishya, coming to Tripati, Kaila Sri Rama Darshana, visited the temple of Ramachandra, Raghunatha Age, before Lord Ramachandra. Kaila did pranama, obeisances, stavana, offering prayers. Tripati Aishya Kaila Sri Rama Darshana. Raghunatha Age Kaila Pranama Stavana. Tripati Aishya Kaila Sri Rama Darshana. Raghunatha Age Kaila Pranama Stavana. Tripati Aishya Kaila Sri Rama Darshana. Raghunatha Age Kaila Pranama Stavana. Ladies? Translation. After arriving at Tripati, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Ramachandra. He offered his prayers and obeisances before Ramachandra, the king, the descendant of King Raghu. Text 66. Srapabhave loka sabara karana vishmaya pana nishinghe aila prabhu daya. Translation. Everywhere Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, his influence astonished everyone. He arrived next at the temple of Pana Nrsimha. The Lord is so merciful. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This Pana Nrsimha, or Panakal Nrsimha, is located in the district of Krishna in the hills known as Mangalagiri, about 7 miles from a city known as Vijayawada. Is that Vijayawada? A different? Same. One must climb 600 steps to reach the temple. It is said that when the Lord is offered food with syrup here, he does not take more than half. Within this temple is a conch shell presented by the late king of Tanjore, and it is said that this shell was used by Lord Krishna himself. During the month of March, a great fair takes place in this temple. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurindalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So because today is the appearance day of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, we will be doing some reading on the pastimes of Sri Gadadhar Pandit. But just prior to that, a few comments about these two verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Many focusing on one word here, which is in the second verse that we read, Vishmaya, astonishment. Lord Chaitanya, he astonished everyone when he traveled throughout South India. Yesterday, Nagaraj Prabhu was speaking about Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavan, he quoted the famous verse, we know that the Lord has 6 opulences, and another verse which directly uses the word Bhagavan in the text. So these things, these opulences, as they're known, are things by which great influence is exerted on everyone who comes in contact with them. No one can come in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead without being astonished, without being influenced. That's just a fact based on the potency that the Lord possesses. Everything about him. Just imagine Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his tour of South India. He was walking everywhere. But how did he walk? Did he walk like an ordinary man? Or did when he walked and when people saw him, were they not completely astonished? We get descriptions actually in the scriptures of how Lord Krishna walks, what it looks like. What does it look like when Lord Krishna walks? Does anybody say? A baby elephant. That baby elephant is directly in relation to Lord Ramachandra, because his pastimes are like those of a baby elephant, as it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, but an elephant walking, very deliberate and majestic. His countenance, the Lord's countenance, is also indicative that he possesses all these opulences when he walks. Even as a sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India as a sannyasi. Yet, he was not a personality to be neglected by anyone just because his opulences are natural. He didn't have to display them. They're naturally part of his appearance. And these things influence us very greatly. His beauty, his strength, his fame, his knowledge, his renunciation. These things are that by which we become astonished when we come in contact with him. But he's so astonishing that once having experienced his opulences, one cannot, as I said, help but be influenced. We know in the description in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that describes there that when the Lord would be traveling through South India, he would come to a village, and the people there would see him, and they would become astonished. But that astonishment didn't end there. They would go back to their villages, and just because they had become influenced by the Lord's opulences, his astonishing person, when people saw them, they also became full of love of Godhead, just because they had become in contact with the Lord and been influenced by him. When others came in contact with them, they became astonished. This is the influence of the Lord. This is his influence as Bhagavan. It goes beyond just the personal audience of the Lord. Indeed, it goes as far as, and this is not the limit by any means, but it goes as far as descriptions of the Lord carrying the same potency as the Lord himself. If this wasn't a fact, why are we now, some 500 plus years removed from the personal presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, reading about and finding his activities so attractive that we come to hear them daily? Because these activities or descriptions of the Lord's activities carry the same potency as the Lord. They're not different in that regard. They're equally as astonishing. And so, not just the Lord's activities, but his devotees' activities also. They also carry this opulences or the potency of the Lord's person, his being. And so therefore we relish the lives of the devotees as well. Someone was mentioning to me recently that they thought that it'd be a good idea if someone starts doing biographies of Prabhupada's disciples and the devotees that we interact with, we still have the fortune to interact with in this lifetime. Because these aren't ordinary persons, and we experience actually when we go to some festival or something and we hear from those that were personal servants of Srila Prabhupada, hear about Prabhupada from them, or we hear about the preaching in the early days when Kuti came back from Vrindavan, 40th anniversary celebrations a few weeks ago. She was describing how those devotees that were there in the early days in Vrindavan, the different austerities they went through. And of course we've heard the same thing in Bombay when they were on the Juhu land. Tremendous austerities all these devotees did. They're purifying. To hear of the sacrifice that these devotees made, that purifies us, our own God brothers and God sisters. They also carry this potency of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. And when we hear about their activities, we're astonished. You heard that story she told about how they had to go into the stool pit to push the cow out? You must have heard it, she said. Kuti, when she came back. Well, Kuti was relating the story from somebody who had told in Vrindavan that was there in the early days, how their sanitation system was such that there was a drainage area, and one day a cow got in that drainage area and they were trying to get the cow out, and they couldn't get the cow out in any way, rope or pulling, so they had to get in to the stool pit to push out the cow, because not only sacred cow, the cow was on the Krishna Balaram land, and to have such an inauspicious thing of a cow dying in a stool pit but that was a worse consequence than the devotees having to make such an austere sacrifice themselves. So these stories of the devotees that they sacrifice in so many ways carry the potency of the Lord, this astonishing influence. And they can actually convince us The proof is they can convince us, oh, gee, what am I doing? I should surrender more. These devotees were so surrendered to Srila Prabhupada's desires to try to please him in any way. So these things carry potency. The histories of the great devotees, the history of the Lord himself. And that potency is to purify our hearts, to make us more surrendered to Krishna, more dedicated to serving Srila Prabhupada and pushing forward his mission. That's what purification means, and that's the effect of the astonishing activities of the Lord. And this is summed up in the last sentence of the second verse we read today. The Lord is so merciful. Prabhu Dayamaya, the most merciful, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this regard, today I wanted to read some of the pastimes of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, very dear associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by hearing these things, we can purify our hearts. This is the purpose of holy days like this, to glorify the Lord and his devotees. And that glorification doesn't have to be elaborate, fancy, unique anyway, simply by hearing, giving oral reception to these pastimes, we glorify the Lord and purify our hearts. So, Gadadhar Pandit. In this description that I'm going to be reading, there is reference to different Vaishnava literature. But as we go through, the source of this is our god brother Sri Nandana, who put together this short biography of Gadadhar Pandit. From the time that he was a boy, Gadadhar Pandit was always in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Gadadhar Pandit's father's name was Sri Madhava Mishra. His mother's name was Sri Ratnavati Devi. They lived close to the house of Jagannath Mishra in Mayapur. Sri Ratnavati Devi looked upon Sachi Devi as if Sachi Devi were her big sister. The two of them were always spending time with each other. At the time of his childhood pastimes, Gohari used to play often with Gadadhar Pandit. They both went to the village school together to study. Gadadhar Pandit was a year younger than Gohari. Gadadhar had so much affection for Gohari that he did not leave his company even for a moment. In the Gora Ganadesh Dipika, it is explained by Kavi Kanapur that in Braja Leela, Sri Gadadhar Pandit was the daughter of Vishabhanu, Shrimati Radharani. This is confirmed in the notebooks of Sri Swarup Damodar, as well as in the songs of Sri Vasudev Ghosh Thakur. According to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, quote, no one can describe the characteristics and ecstatic love of Gadadhar Pandit. Therefore, another name for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhar Prananatha, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. No one can say how merciful the Lord is to Gadadhar Pandit, but people know the Lord as Gadayara Gora, the Lord Gauranga of Gadadhar Pandit. The Chaitanya Bhagavat records that when Ishwara Puri stayed in Navadvip, Mayapur, he lived at the house of Sri Gopinath Acharya for a few months. From his early childhood, at that time, Ishwara Puri was very affectionate toward Gadadhar and tutored him from his book, Krishna Lilamrita. From his early childhood, Gadadhar Pandit was very serious and self-composed. He was peaceful, renounced,
and fond of solitude. On the other hand, in his childhood, Gaurasundar appeared to be very fickle, unsteady, and whimsical. When they were studying in school, he would disturb Gadadhar with whimsical questions whose sophistry was meant to baffle Gadadhar. Gadadhar didn't like this, and it disturbed his mind and studies. As a result, he was forced to keep Gohari at a distance. But he couldn't bear to keep aloof from the Lord. This posed a great dilemma for Gadadhar. The Lord said, "Gadadhar, soon I shall become a great Vaishnava, and even Brahma and Shiva will come to me and bow down." Sri Gadadhar Pandit was especially affectionate toward Mukunda Dutt. Whenever sadhus or sannyasis would come to Navadvip from somewhere, Mukunda Dutt would tell Gadadhar, and together they would go and visit that holy man. One time, from Chattagram, Pundarik Vijayanidhi came to Navadvip. I was just listening this morning to a lecture on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and it was described there that prior to his descent into this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent various representatives with him. And I was surprised, of course I had gotten this biography and I was reading it, so I had the name of Pundarik Vijayanidhi on my mind, but I was surprised to hear that on the list of those that Lord Chaitanya sent ahead of him to inaugurate his Sankirtan movement, one of them was Pundarik Vijayanidhi. I was surprised his name was Ishwar Puri was on that list, Madhavinda Puri, but Pundarik Vijayanidhi was also on that list. That was a bit of a surprise to me. So let's see where we were here. One time from Chattagram, Pundarik Vijayanidhi came to Navadvip. At that time, Mukunda Dutt intimated to Gadadhar that there was a great Vaishnava worth seeing and suggested they go visit him. With great jubilation at the prospect of seeing a Vaishnava, Gadadhar Pandit went to visit Pundarik Vijayanidhi with Mukunda Dutt. When Gadadhar came before Pundarik, he saw that he appeared to be a great materialist. His faith was somewhat damaged upon seeing this. He said to himself, if he is a Vaishnava, why does he appear to be such a materialist? Can anybody say some of the things that made him think he was a materialist when he saw Pundarik Vijayanidhi? Mother, had very beautiful furniture, yes. Silk sheets and everything like that. Yes. He was chewing pan. He was combing his hair, wasn't he? His oiled hair. And he was looking at himself in the mirror, right? All things you might not expect when you see a Vaishnava. We might not expect so many things when we see each other also, but it doesn't mean that we're not Vaishnavas. You are not Vaishnavas. So anyway, this is how Gadadhar Pandit was thinking. If he is a Vaishnava, why does he appear to be such a materialist? Mukunda Dutt, knowing the mind of Gadadhar, sweetly sang a verse about Krishna Lila. What verse did he sing about Krishna Lila? Does anybody know? Yes. Yes. It begins a whole baki. And Mukunda Dutt had known Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and by sweetly chanting this verse, he awakened his inner consciousness. Hearing Mukunda Dutt singing this verse about Krishna Lila from Srimad Bhagavatam, he began crying, "Krishna, Krishna," and weeping again and again. The Chaitanya Bhagavat says that the flowing tears from his eyes was as if the Ganges had descended. Finally, he fell up on the ground, and after rolling back and forth for some time, lost consciousness. Upon seeing this, Gadadhar Pandit felt great remorse in his mind. He began to reconsider his attitude toward Pundarik Vijayanidhi. He thought, I thought that this great devotee, this Mahabhagavata, was an ordinary sense enjoyer. I have committed a great offense. However, if I accept initiation from him, I may become free from this offense. I see no other way. In this way, Sri Gadadhar Pandit made up his mind to take initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi. When Pundarik returned to his external consciousness, Mukundadat introduced Gadadhar Pandit to him. Hearing from Mukundadat about the character of Gadadhar Pandit, Pundarik was delighted. When he heard of Gadadhar's desire to become his disciple, he was pleased. He smiled, saying, I consider myself very fortunate. Only after many, many births does one get a disciple like this. Soon after this, on an auspicious day, Sri Gadadhar Pandit accepted mantra initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi. If we commit some offense, mental offense, or even worse, physical offense against a Vaishnava, we know this is Hatimata, the death knell for our own devotional creeper. It's described by our acharyas that bhakti, the seed of bhakti, the plant of bhakti as it grows in our hearts, can be destroyed by one thing and one thing only, and that is Vaishnava aparad. Although I'm not saying that Gadadhar Pandit committed Vaishnava aparad here, but I think the lesson we can take from it is that when we interact with devotees, we shouldn't prejudge them. We are a society where there are many devotees from many different levels of Krishna consciousness, and they may not always correspond with how popular they are, or what kind of position they have, or what their ashram status is. These things are all external to our factual position in relationship to Krishna. So we should be careful, and so if something is done, then we should make amends. So we find Gadadhar Pandit thinking like this here and instructing us, make some amends, do something to rectify your improper behavior. That is the way of a Vaishnava. So Gadadhar Pandit took initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and he gave us this lesson to follow. So continuing, there are two parts of, well, at least two parts, many parts of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. One in Navadvip, prior to taking sannyas, and then after that in Puri, Jagannath Puri. So Gadadhar Pandit was a prominent devotee in both places. In the Navadvip pastimes, childhood pastimes, youth pastimes in Navadvip, and also after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu also went to Jagannath Puri. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gayadham, he began his manifestation of Krishna Prema. At Gaya, he performed his pastimes of taking shelter of Ishwar Puri. Once he returned home, he began a new life. Day and night, he would float in the ocean of Krishna Prema. Seeing Mahaprabhu's wonderful tears of ecstasy in Krishna Prema, Gadadhar found himself almost also overwhelmed with ecstasy. He too cried with joy in the divine love of Krishna. From then on, Gadadhar Pandit found it difficult to give up the Lord's association even for an hour. One day, Gadadhar brought Mahaprabhu some tambula. When he arrived at the house of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was deeply absorbed in the mood of separation from Krishna. Mahaprabhu said, Gadadhar, where is Shyam Sundar? Where is that Lord of Vrindavan who is dressed in yellow cloth? Saying this, the Lord began to weep. Gadadhar was stunned and could not understand what answer to give. With great reverence, he humbly submitted, Krishna is in your heart. Upon hearing this, Mahaprabhu began tearing at his chest, but Gadadhar quickly restrained his hands from doing any damage. The Lord said, Gadadhar, let go of my hands. If I cannot see Krishna, I will not be able to maintain my life. Gadadhar said, if you just remain patient, Krishna will surely reveal himself. He will surely come here before long. With this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pacified. Seeing these pastimes of Gaur Gadadhar from a little distance, Sachi Mata thought to herself with great satisfaction, this boy Gadadhar is very intelligent. I need not fear for Gadadhar's sake, for Gauri's sake, Sachi Mata said. Gadadhar, you must always be by the side of my son Gauri. In this way, I shall not have to worry. One day in the house of Suklambar Brahmachari, the Lord was to speak something about Krishna. Hearing this, Gadadhar went to the house of Suklambar Brahmachari and took his seat within the house. Outside on the veranda, the Lord began to speak. As the Lord spoke, he became overwhelmed with ecstasy and went into a rasika trance. All the devotees surrounding him also began to swim in the waves of prema. In this way, for some time, everyone tasted prema rasa. Gadadhar's prema could not have been more intense. Lowering his head, he began loudly weeping again and again with tears of ecstasy. Hearing Gadadhar's pitiful tears, Mahaprabhu said, who is within the house who is weeping so intensely? Suklambar Brahmachari said, it is your Gadadhar. The Lord said, Gadadhar, you are the most fortunate. From your early childhood, you have been a determined devotee of Krishna. My own birth was useless. Because of all my sinful karma, I could not attain Krishna. Saying this, the Lord embraced Gadadhar in great ecstatic love. When the Lord was performing his Navadvipa Leela, his chief assistant was Gadadhar. They who lived in Vrindavan are Radha Krishna, as Radha Krishna take the form of Gaura Gadadhar in these pastimes of Navadvip on the banks of the Ganges. And those who in Vrindavan are Gopas and Gopis take part in the pastimes of the Lord in Navadvip by performing Kirtan. One day the Lord was wandering by the bank of the Ganges when he came upon a small forest grove and sat down. Gradually he became absorbed in remembering the Vrindavan pastimes. Mukunda Dutt began sweetly singing in the songs in the Purva Raga. Gadadhar, after gathering flowers in the forest, decorated the Lord's neck with a garland. Just as formerly in Vrindavan, Sri Radha used to decorate Lord Krishna, in the same way Gadadhar decorated the holy form of Lord Gauranga. Some sang a sweet song, some performed a beautiful dance. At length, Gauranga sat Gadadhar down on the root of a tree which served as a raised platform. Shri Advaita Prabhu performed the arti to the two of them. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was seated on the left of them. Srivas Prabhu was taking flowers and decorating them. Narhari was waving the chamara. Suklambar was offering chandan. Murari Gupta was singing glories of the Lord. Madhava, Vasudev, Purushottam, Vijaya, and Mukunda, as well as all others, sang different songs in various ragas. In this way, the Lord finished his Nadiya Lila. He performed his Sannyas Lila and left his mother and his country and went to live in Jagannath Puri. At that time, Gadadhar Pandit followed him and also went to Jagannath Puri to live. There, Gadadhar Pandit engaged himself in the service of Sri Gopinath, the Sri Gopinath deity. At that time, the Lord would regularly go and visit his dear Gadadhar to float in the waves of rasa by discussing Krishna. When the Lord made his pilgrimage to Vrindavan, he forbade Gadadhar Pandit to go with him. At that time, his separation knew no bounds. Gadadhar Pandit used to teach Srimad Bhagavatam class. His eternal companion, Sri Gaurasundar, used to sit and hear from him. Sri Gadadhar Pandit's discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam was like an ocean of nectar. After the 48 years of the Lord's manifest pastime were over, he disappeared into the Gopinath deity of Gadadhar Pandit. This is recorded in Bhakti Ratnakara. So every day the Lord used to go to Toda Gopinath temple and hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. There's actually a picture of this, a drawing of this. Have you seen that drawing? Gadadhar Pandit sitting with the Bhagavatam, and I think Mahaprachaparudra is giving obeisances there. Does anybody recall that? It's not a picture, obviously, it's a drawing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, and they're all hearing Srimad Bhagavatam together. So just before I read the final here, I'd just like to ask anybody if they have any pastimes or something they'd like to add and say about Gadadhar Pandit. Yes, Mother Ragatmika.
I don't know the exact reference, but I know in Mahanidhi Swami's book on the holy name, he cited how all of the members of the Panchatattva are particular ashrayas. And
Particularly?
Ashraya, they're the shelter for a particular item of devotional service, let's say. And Gadadhar Pandit is Bhava Ashraya. The others, Lord Chaitanya is Rasa Ashraya. Nityananda Prabhu is Prem Ashraya. Dvaita Acharya is Panchara Triki Vidi Ashraya. And Srivas is Sudha Nam Ashraya.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody else have some contribution? Yes. Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to say something about the purport, Mangalgiri in Nishingadev.
Yes.
There's a temple still exists, it's a very beautiful temple. And in South India, in summer, it's very hot. It's like Fahrenheit will be 150, 160 degree. And Lord Nishingadev, they offer the particular drink called panagam, which is made out of jaggery and ginger. You mix together, and that when you drink that, very cools the system. So all the devotee goes to see Lord Nishingadev. They offer panagam, those drink. And according to your capacity, if you are very rich, bring a big quantity of panagam, and they will offer directly to Lord Nishingadev mouth. And you, when you get half goes in, then you hear some noise, and then you cannot pour anymore. So that the rest of the half, the second half is Mahaprasadam. You bring home and distribute. And right after the next person in the line, if he has a small cup, will get exactly half will go in and half will remain. So, some, Gnostic people, the Mayavadis, they think, there may be some remote control or some sensor somewhere that you goes half and immediately turn the switch on. They try that. There's nothing. It is Lord Nishingadev. It's a very, very special temple.
Nishinga Bhagavan Ki.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So let me just read this last bit about Gadadhar Pandit here. Although Gadadhar Pandit was barely 48 when the Lord departed, he quickly became old because of the intense anguish he felt in separation from his beloved Lord Gaurasundar. He couldn't stretch his arms to offer a garland to his deity. Understanding his servant's difficulty, Sri Tota Gopinath sat down to facilitate Gadadhar's loving service. To this day, Sri Tota Gopinath is the only sitting deity of Krishna. So you can go and see that deity. I had the fortune to have darshan of Tota Gopinath sitting like that. And if you ask the pujari, he'll move the cloth, and there's some small mark where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the deity. That's where he left this world, Tota Gopinath, cared for by Sri Gadadhar Pandit. Shri Gadadhar Pandit ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hare Krishna.